What increases the risk of cancer? The research from scientific peer-reviewed journals has excellent professionals willing to back up what is happening in cancer. From the research we understand how cancer progresses. However, we are still in the dark about how cancer initiates, and what causes cancer to form within the body. The best model we have is induced pluripotent stem cells, mimic cancer stem cells, that are either planted into genetically engineered mice or placed in cancer cell lines to mimic how the cancer stem cells would interact in a constructed cancer niche, to mimic cancer in the body. Please keep this in mind. These are models of stimulation. FYI. Carcinogens have never been known to form cancer. They cause mutations within cells which are programmed to proliferate cells, leaving researchers with transformed cells and artifacts. This is done using transplantation assays and murine models. It is stated in the research that mutations alone are not enough to form cancer. In a paper by Afifai and Seno, Conversion of Stem Cells to Cancer Stem Cells, Undercurrent of Cancer Initiation. See section 5.2. Cancer stem cells cannot come about by mutations. So why does cancer happen? Cancer originates from cancer stem cells. We now know this because the clonal evolutionary theory, along with the somatic gene mutation theory, cannot explain such tumor heterogeneity. The old model has now been replaced with the cancer stem cell model, which still needs much attention and work. Whether the cancer stem cells arise from normal stem cells, embryonic stem cells, or differentiated cells that revert to stemness is unknown. There are valiant efforts in all avenues with an open recognition of EMT, epithelial mesenchymal transition, and the microenvironment, which we now know is playing a bigger role than we once thought. Simplistic view, hyperemia was well documented by Caspar Blond in his finding of cancer in the early 1900s, which again is backed by modern researchers who have termed it changes in blood vessels. When this occurs, of course, restricting the flow of blood and lymph will greatly diminish the delivery of oxygen, blood, and nutrition, and prevent the removal of metabolic wastes. This is why we have the hypoxic environment, which is characteristic of normal stem cells, embryonic stem cells, and cancer stem cells, especially within their own tumor microenvironment. There have also been claims in the research that chronic inflammation initiates the normal stem cells to form cancer stem cells. Fico once discovered that leukocytosis was evident in tumors, meaning WBCs, immune cells, were seen to be infiltrating tumor cells. More than likely this is the beginning of the cancer niche formation. Researchers today still cannot explain this phenomenon and state, is the tumor forming for self-protection or wound healing from within? This is a very simple view of what's going on at the cellular level, and if we now think more about what increases your risk and why certain cells adopt this metabolism, we get a good grasp on how important this concept is. Chronic stressors, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional, play a major role in the destruction of the body's homeostatic mechanisms and optimally lead to death. Stress kills. What is happening to our physiology? What is important to note here is that with increasing accumulative stress, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical, our bodies have become overburdened with a complete upset in homeostatic function. The importance of emotional reactivity and my new theory of somatic reactivity must take predominance in this argument. We need to move forward and realize we are not physical machines. Mental ideas will cause us to react or respond, and this is usually played out by our emotions, which of course produce somatic activity within the physiology. With the emotion of anger, the liver function is compromised, fear, the immune system is suppressed, and with added worry we become anxious. If the body perceives the threat of damage to our circulatory and respiratory systems, we can be left sick, sad, fatigued, and diseased human beings. Do our emotions and mental state upset our physiology enough to make us chronically ill? What if we are involved in toxic relationships? This is just a short synopsis of what is to come. Short answer. 1. We are conscious beings and our reactions affect our physiology. 1. Our reactions produce emotional reactions. 1. This is where emotions stem from. 1. We react to some issue, which gives rise to an emotion. 1. Then we will appraise our bodily reactivity, and arrive at a feeling. 2. If we are reacting to a stressful situation or a perceived threat, then this can have devastating effects on our physiology. This is called somatic reactivity. 3. If not resolved, this reactivity persists and results in many conditions of chronic ongoing fear, anger, worry, grief, depression, sadness, etc. 3. Which upsets the overall metabolism and body function. 3. This has to do with upsetting the autonomic nervous system. 4. Sir Francis Pottinger has clearly shown that the neurosomatic reflex is real and can either come from a physical or a psyche force. 4. This means that ideas that arise in the mind or appear in the mind can make us as conscious beings react. 4. And our reactions amount to changes in our physiology. 5. So if we have somatic reactivity in some organ, tissue, or cells, then the physical or psychological threat is strong enough to be perceived. Is there some form of damage or threat, at least, to this area of the body? We need to ascertain if there is some real damage or a threat, at least, to this area of the body. 6. What does the body do when there is damage/threat of damage? It can either repair or defend. There is chronic toxic stress from physical, mental, and emotional means. The body has no choice but to protect itself, and the physiology has no other choice but to create an environment suitable for cancer. Hope this helps.